You are funny.
I will say, we watched this movie last night called The Two Popes. And so it was about actually the transition between the Pope who was there before Pope Francis, who just passed away.
Oh, yeah.
And they were completely diametrically opposed individuals in terms of philosophy and everything.
Yeah.
And the current Pope at the time brought him in because the church needed to change according to them. But he said, at the fundamental level, I don't know what I'm supposed to do as Pope anymore. I don't hear God's voice anymore. I've heard it since I was a teenager, and this is a sign to me that I need to get the hell out of the way. And so I just tell you that, if you have no insight.
Oh no, she has definitely had insights this week, I can tell you, but she's not ready to share those.
Oh,
That's fine. No, mine.
I'm trying to remember what my insight was.
That's why it's good to tell your significant other when
Okay,
you
with that in mind.
remember.
So we'll visualize ourselves placed within the mandala that has been set into motion by the Buddha's turning of the wheel of Dharma. So we're in this brilliant mandala of light. And the focal point for us in this brilliant mandala is the assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of us, also made of light, composed of light, as we are light and everything is light and energy. And surrounding us are all of those close to us, our parents, our family and friends, and the entire assembly of residents within the mandala, which is our fellow human beings and all the creatures that we come in contact with in this room. So we're surrounded by sentient beings in this mandala, Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas in this mandala, and we're going to take refuge out of our deeply felt desire to participate in the creation of beauty and goodness and compassion and love and all positive qualities that are the manifest product of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas where we're headed. And so we take refuge in this great mandala. Sangye Chodam Soki Choknama Chanchu Adu Datni Prapsushi Daki Chinyan Gipe Sonangi Trola Penshir Sangye Druparjo Sangye Chodan Soki Choknama Janchu Pardu Dani Yapsushi Dagi Chinyan Gipe Sonamgi Trola Penshir Sangye Druparsho Sangye Chodam Soki Choknama Janchu Pardu Dani Yapsuchi Dagi Chinyan Gipe Sonamgi Jola Penshir Sangye Druparsho. And refreshing our memory of all the sentient beings with us in this mandala in an unbiased and open-hearted, completely vulnerable and an awareness of our shared totality with all sentient beings. We say the four immeasurables. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering. And may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. And just abide in that equanimity for a moment. And then refreshing our attention on the assembled Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in this great mandala. We'll say the 7 lines. I continue to wonder what these 7 lines are about, and I again encourage everybody to continue to think about why is there so much emphasis placed on these 7 ideas that we're meant to present to or offer in front of the assembled Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and mentally transformed. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since the beginningless time, and rejoice in the merits of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until samsara ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate the merit created by myself and others to the great enlightenment. And then infusing this incredible mandala of light and energy and all positive, good, beautiful, beneficial things, sparkling with radiance. That is our mandala offering to make. Christopher, will you sing the melody?
Okay. Zaji perki jokshi medo Tramri rablingji Nidegen parti Sangindu All righty. So we're on the last session of Geshe Nima's January visit. It's now the end of April. But I'm really glad that we've gone through this, because honestly, I don't think any of us could have absorbed it all.
Oh, you started the recording.
In those sessions. So he started out this last session with a transmission of the following mantras. Can you put them up?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of, probably can have them large and scroll along as we go. And so what I thought we would do is just, of course, the first one was taking refuge, generating bodhicitta, which we just did. So I don't think we have to go over that at all. So you go to the second one, which is the mantra of Buddha Shakyamuni. And I'll just, we'll just go through this. I'll say the syllables and then just repeat them. And that just will be a way for us to go over the pronunciation of these and help with our familiarization of all of these mantras. Some of them are not new to us, and some of them are. So this is the mantra of Buddha Shakyamuni. Tayata Om Muni Muni Maha Muniye Swaha. Do it again. Tayata Om Muni Muni Maha Muniye Swaha. And here's the whole mantra of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Oma Guru Vajradhara.
Oma Guru Vajradhara.
Bhattaraka Manjushri.
Bhattaraka Manjushri.
Vagindra Sumati Gyana.
Vagindra Sumati Gyana.
Shasana Dara Samundra.
Shasana Dara Samundra.
Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum.
Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Hum.
And of course, these are English transliterations For instance, that the word that you see in the second line that's Gyana, jnana, it's actually a jnana. It's a Sanskrit thing which they sometimes will write DH, but it's not like a D.
And it's not like a
it's not
G
right.
either.
It's somewhere in between. We do our best.
Yeah.
So let's all together now say this again. Om Guru Vajradhara Patarakta Manjushri Vajindra Sumati Jnana Shasana Dara Samundra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum. That the first word in the second line is Vagindra, not Vajindra. Vagindra. So once you get going, it's Oma Guru Vajradhara Pataraka Manjushri Vagindra Sumati Jnana Shasana Dara Samundra, like that. But it takes a while. I did not know this mantra at all, so it took me maybe 2 weeks before I was able to say it at any kind of speed and remember it. So it's just a question of practicing the ones we don't know. And what I will say, my whole session that I do every day involves mantras continually. Every visualization that I do, all of the refuge visualization, the merit field visualization, it's continual mantras and continual visualizations. And that is a very tantric method of getting the winds flowing. And I will tell you, over the years, I definitely am feeling that now. So that this process of it's very much the Vajra path. The process of a combination of visualizing or imagining the symbolism of the various deities, or what you're imagining, the symbolism of all of that, combined with the mantras themselves, the sounds of the mantras, and the energy that begins to create. So it's a good practice. It's a powerful practice. It's the Vajrasattva or Vajradhara or Vajrayana practice.
I'm thinking this, and I think I've talked about this week related to this. Essentially, all we're doing in our existence is, with our consciousness, generating an imagined reality, and then using the energy of the winds to bring that into being. Is that kind of like?
Yes.
If you're gonna look at what is Buddhist philosophy suggesting is happening in our existence? So all existence is involved in this.
All of existence.
There's nothing outside of
the existence we're experiencing right now. We're doing exactly the same thing. We are every object that our consciousness comes into contact with, we project onto that the meaning it has for us. Or we wait to be told by somebody what it's supposed to mean, So it's our consciousness is the thing that's driving all of this, and together all of our consciousnesses are deriving the experience that we're having. This goes to a very profound level of non-duality. There is no inherent existence out there. It is all a totality of dependent arisings that are shared and that we can transform through the way we think about them and behave, the actions that we take. So it's very much, this is what emptiness, the meaning of emptiness is that nothing has that inherent existence. So these mantras, especially in the practices that we're doing, they're about transforming our particular view of the way things are, of the way things can be. We have this idea that things exist the way they appear to us, and that's it. And that's not what Buddhism says. Buddhism says it's illusory the way they appear to us. We think they are real the way they are out there, but it is illusory because our consciousness has so much to do with it. So it's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
It's pretty profound in terms of what our experience actually is. So going on to the next one. may not be familiar with some of you. The Medicine Buddha mantra. Some of us are very familiar with it. When we dedicated the teepee, we said, how many of these did we say?
8,000.
8,000?
Yeah,
There were like
we were 3 days.
5
in a
of us or
row.
something, and we were in there just going.
Well, I'm thinking, I just flashed on that thing we did with Tugway so many years ago. That was a really neat thing.
Yeah, we were 3
And I
days
think
in a
we
row.
said 100,000 in those
Yeah.
2 or whatever
Probably
days.
counts somewhere.
Yeah.
In a notebook.
So
That was neat.
so
That was
was.
a precious time.
here's this one. Again, we start out with Tayata. Tayata Om Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Raja Samudgate Swaha. So Tayata Om Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Raja Samudgate Swaha. And of course, once they get going, it's Tayata Om Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Raja Samudgate Swaha. It's like that.
Yeah.
So, but you have to start out really slow. All right, the next one is
And
the
what is the benefit? Anybody who has any answers, anyone who knows, why is saying them fast helpful?
I think it has to do with the number of them
I
and the
know, and why
accumulation.
does that matter? Anybody?
The number of often, like how many?
No,
times?
like, why is it meaning more, why is it encouraged to go, oh, money, 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 money?
Well, I think-
Instead of going, money, padme, om.
I think it just channels a particular vibration personally.
It gets the vibration. going.
I think it gets the
I-
vibration more,
Well, I don't know, I mean,
but I don't know.
I think. So I've worked with kids and stuff, doing some projects in the past on depression and stuff, and you talk to these kids and they'll talk about how my parents told me, I was no good, and I'm not worth anything, and it's like, you repeat that enough, right? You
Right.
repeat that enough, like, they believe it, and it's you're creating a story, in your head, you're creating and so I think it's just you're literally just creating grooves in your mind.
I like an
I was
album.
going to say the same thing.
And I mean, when I do them, it's weird. Like sometimes it'll feel right to do them slow, and then all of a sudden it'll just naturally speed up,
Mhm.
and then I'll slow down again. I don't really know what's driving that, other than
Right.
I'm just kind of following my.
But you can see any habit we have, it's due to repetition, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit.
Yeah, exactly.
These are actually virtuous.
Right.
What we're doing here, and so it's the more you do it, the more habituated you become to it. And this is also, when I started out saying like Om Mani Padme Hum, right? I'm just sort of imagining. We had that picture of Chenrezig with the mala and holding a lotus. I'm just imagining all those things. He's holding the jewel. So I was thinking what this all symbolizes, and I would say this mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani, and think what that means. It means the jewel, Mani, in the lotus. So we have this jewel within us, Buddha nature, all of us have this, that can grow into, a fully enlightened Buddha. Every sentient being has this. So you think about these things as you're saying them, and then the winds start to move. You feel the energy moving in your body. And then you say, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme, and it starts taking off. But you have to engage. It's not just like a formula. If I say these magic words, something's going to happen. It's not like that. Our whole consciousness, our whole mind has to be engaged in it. And then our body, our energetic body becomes engaged in it.
Yeah, and I know sometimes your emphasis as you're doing it is more on the visualization and less on the word, and then other times it'll shift to where you're really focusing on the mantra, and then sometimes they'll come together where
Yeah. So I would say it's worthwhile for all of us who are practitioners to do this, work with this, do it in our own way, and have that grow for ourselves in our own way. Because it's not going to happen right off the bat unless you have the propensity for it.
Yeah, Geshe Nima did recommend a particular thing to visualize when we do these mantras, assuming that you do them. He was recommending daily, and he did. I don't know if you're going to mention that.
The visualization that goes along.
No, go ahead and mention it.
Okay, because because I have found this part quite meaningful, is, so when you do each of the mantras, for example, let's say Medicine Buddha, to envision, on your head, I do it a little in front of me, but wherever, your guru, and then above them would be His Holiness the Dalai Lama, then above him is Lama Tsongkhapa, then above him would be Medicine Buddha, and then all the way to Vajradhara or Buddha. And what that has done for me is just and then he says, have that as part of when you switch from one mantra to another, switch out your cat. Everybody then is manifesting. I forgot to mention, your guru is in the form of Medicine Buddha. His Holiness is in the form of Medicine Buddha.
Right.
Jason Kappa is in the form of Medicine Buddha. Everybody's.
Yeah, that's just what Geshe Nima was.
That's his Geshe Nima's recommended
Mhm.
practice. And I don't take it lightly. He had just spent that time on retreat in the teachings in Bodh just before he came and gave this. But the other thing about that is that what kind of almost answering my other question, what it seems to be illuminating to me is that the repetition of the mantra, let's say you take the concept of Medicine Buddha. Well, what is Medicine Buddha? I just think of it as generically repairing and healing body, speech, and mind. It's not and the cosmos, and just in general bringing things back into wholeness. And so my feeling is, when I say is that I'm like, are you dialing into a radio station? For the amount of time that I'm reciting that mantra, I'm inviting and aligning my energy to dial into that in order to increase the potential of me to manifest that. And so then I switched to Avalokiteshvara, Om Mani Padme Hum, same thing. So it's sort of become for me a way of I guess taking some time to amplify the intention to manifest and represent and actualize these qualities. Because they end up, when you look at the series of things, they end up being a pretty nice array of qualities that you're meant to embody,
Right.
or whatever that means,
I do something very similar to that, in that it works throughout all of the visualizations of refuge and merit field. And so every one of these deities that there's a mantra for, they're coming out of Buddha Shakyamuni. Then you will have, for instance, you could have Buddha Shakyamuni, then Chenrezig comes out of Buddha Shakyamuni, Manjushri comes out of Buddha Shakyamuni. And then I visualize that, and then I visualize that they superimpose over me, so that I'm feeling that in my entire body.
Yeah, anyways.
And that sort of
I think there was a
supercharges
part of this session that wasn't recorded where he mentioned this visualize, your guru and all the way up to Buddha stacked on you. You sort of connected with the whole lineage, and he did mention, and there's a lot of lineage there. He said that I'm not naming right now, but the whole lineage is.
Yeah.
It's a way of
connecting.
Amplifying your consciousness's connection to what it is that we're aspiring to actualize, I guess.
Right. One of the things I find, for instance, like with Chenrezig or Manjushri, is when you feel them superimposed over you, as if they are you're in training, and you're thinking about these qualities, and what would it be like within your own system to have these qualities, your own energetic being to have these qualities. And then it really begins to take hold, within your own being, rather than being out there. Being out there, it's.
Well, and I think we have these qualities within us
We have the Buddha nature.
already.
We have to practice
waking them
to bring
up.
Yeah.
To wake them up, they're dormant. So we have to talk about them.
I know this is a mundane example again, but as I have mentioned, about a year ago, I began thinking about reclaiming my ability to play the guitar. And, so that started with a thought. And then, about this time last year, I started just literally picking up the guitar and trying to connect a finger. I mean, it was like that rudimentary And then at one point, after I could do that again, I went, I guess I should learn a song. You know, and that, you know, I am currently all agog about bossa nova, so, but point being, it all started with a thought, and then through the practice,
Right,
suddenly I am once again a guitar player. Now,
right,
I don't know, a year ago I was not a guitar player.
right,
This is why there's such an
The
emphasis on
qualities are
practice.
there, I mean, we all
Right,
have
right.
our own examples, but
right. Well, no, it's true. It's
Practice is so important.
Right,
We have to have the information, but then we have to practice it. And in some ways, it means embodying that within
Right.
your being,
right.
you know, in everything you do. And eventually, this practice will bear fruit.
Right.
It will. Okay, so going on to the next is Manjushri. We all know that one.
Yeah.
Oma Rapatsana di.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's a mantra of Vajrapani, which is Om Vajrapani Hum. And he's got
Robbie, unfortunately, there's no piece of paper with this.
yeah, it's on
piece.
the screen.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt that. I took a picture of it. I
Oh,
didn't
okay,
wanna
good.
Interrupt the class, but if I could get a copy of that. that'd be
Yeah,
great.
I'll
Sure.
email it to you right
Okay.
now so
Okay.
that you have it.
And of course, Geshe
text
Nima
it.
has indicated in parentheses what these are for.
Right.
Vajrapani is for power and inner strength. Then we go to Tara, the female Buddha of swift deeds. And so Tara is, if you're looking for to accomplish something,
That's right.
to get something done,
Yeah.
Tara is very good for that. It's
Mhm.
very good. It's a very good kind of energy to embody that, to get, you know, you want to accomplish something. So this Taras is Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Swaha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Swaha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Swaha. Then we have Guru Padmasambhava. He's the guy who's on this at the stairwell there, beginning of the stairs. That's Padmasambhava. What would you say about Padmasambhava, Kavita?
Well, what at this, I think I've told this story before. I read somewhere that if you were looking for a teacher to say the mantra of Padmasambhava. And so before we met Mama Pasang and all that, I started saying the mantra of Padmasambhava. And so I have my own personal take on it, but in general, it's Oma Guru Vajradhara, or whatever it is.
Om
That's
Hum
funny.
Vajra Guru Padma Siddhi Hum.
Oma Hum, yeah, Oma Hum.
I used to say it all the time too, when you were saying it.
City Guru. I say it every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird how when you do things out of.
Yeah, context.
But in any case,
Yeah, I like
the
it.
point being is now the way I think about it is, just as we've talked about, well, you need the information. If one, let's say, I want to be a good person. I grew up Catholic. In Catholic, you're supposed to be a good person and not sin, and be nice and be loving and kind. And what I found about Buddhism was finally somebody fucking gave us a method. You know, I mean, it's really nice. I remember thinking, this
Well,
is great. Yeah, I don't want to sin. But no one's telling me what to do
I'll go to
Yeah.
confession.
within the
Listen here.
Catholic. You know, and I went to Catholic school, so if it was there, I would have gotten it
Yeah.
from grade 1. You know. So Guru Padmasambhava, Padmasambhava to me represents making in your lifetime the connection to a teacher.
And he made huge inroads into Tibet early on, you know, spreading.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
other specific things, but that's what I'm just saying. Oh,
And
that's
er-
Guru.
Every class that Geshe Drapa gave us, this Padmasambhava was behind him,
Mm.
always behind him. So now I associate that with Geshe
Did you
Drapa.
drop
Yeah.
one? Mhm.
Even
Okay.
if I say it, Oma Hum Benza Guru.
Yeah, that's how
Geshe Drapa had a different pronunciation.
the Tibetans, instead of saying Vajra, they say Benza.
Mm.
So it says Vajrasattva,
It's
Benzasattva.
So you'll see
Oh,
that in the
Bodhisattva, yeah.
Vajrasattva, Christopher used the. Yeah,
Yeah.
know, I don't know what Geshe Nima is, the advice is to say it the way
Yeah, Geshe
you were
Nima
given the
gave.
transmission.
Yeah.
This version.
Okay, so then the next one is the Lama Tsongkhapa, which is Om Aguru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti Siddhi That's one that I'm not very familiar with, actually. Then, of course, we have the 100-syllable Vajrasattva mantra, and this is the way it was given to us by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Geshe Drakpa, Geshe Nima. They all gave it in this Tibetan version, which uses Benzasattva rather than Vajrasattva.
Yep.
So that's just what I do, is because that's what the teachers gave us, you know.
All right.
And we can all go through this slowly. I think many of us are familiar with this. Om Benza Sato Samaya. Manu Palaya Benza Sato. Teno Pertikya Dridro Mebawa. Suto Kyoyo Mebawa. Supo Kyoyo Mebawa. Anurakto Mebawa. Sawa Siddhi Me Trayatsa. Sarva Kama Sutsa Me. Setam Shriram Purum Hum. Ha 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 ho. Bhagawana Sarva Tata Gata Benza. Mame Munja Benza Bawa. Maha Samaya Sato Ahum Pe. This is a mantra that I have said the most of in my entire course of Buddhist studies. Every day, several times a day. So this is, to me, is a very, very powerful mantra, and this mantra is for purifications, purifying our mistaken ideas, our negative karma. And it's quite, the more you do it, the more powerful it becomes. You carry it all the way into, when you go into tantric or Vajrayana practices, this is part of it all the way. So this is a very important mantra. So I just want to read, I'm just going to read what it's saying here. So it's saying praise to Vajrasattva. Vajra means diamond. Sattva means being. And what they're talking about here is that our Buddha nature is like a diamond. It's indestructible. It's talking about we all have Buddha nature. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to uncover it. So in purifying the negative karma or the negative propensities we have, the wrong ways of thinking and behaving and speaking, by purifying that, we are uncovering the natural Buddha nature that we have within us, this Vajra nature. So it's saying, praise to Vajrasattva, this diamond-like being. May your samaya, and that means pledge. That means that there's a pledge from the beginning of time, from directly, you could say, from the primordial Buddha, to help sentient beings purify their negativities and karmic obscurations and uncover the full beauty and wonder and glory of the Buddha nature that we have. So that's what this is saying at the beginning. Then it's saying, grant your protection and reside in me, Vajrasattva. Remain firm in me and let me recognize my Vajra nature. Let me recognize my own Buddha nature, indestructible nature. Make me totally satisfied. Increase the positive energy within me. Be loving and compassionate towards me. Bestow all the spiritual attainments, and let all the actions and activities of my mind always be virtuous. Then you say hum, which is they call this the essence seed syllable, and we all have this essence, this hum essence, which as you get into the deeper tantric practices, you use this hum, and this is at your heart. And this is what you imagine as you're going from one lifetime to the next. You embody this hum.
It's a little detail which can be helpful is it is said that at the time of conception, as you're developing, this hum develops in what is called the indestructible drop, which they say is the sperm and the egg. There's something about that energetically that never decays, so they call it the indestructible drop, because throughout your lifetime then it's found in the heart and the hum is embedded in it, And
Right.
that,
Yeah.
that, the energy that represents is there.
I think it's
for
important
throughout
that
lifetime.
it's important that we don't concretize these things. When we're talking about this syllable hum, it's representing a kind of pattern of energy. It's not like the letter A, you know. And well, of course all letters, they symbolize some kind of energy, some kind of movement that has meaning. So that's what these are. These especially these things like the om, ah, hum, ho. They're very powerful symbols within energies within our own system, which they have put into symbols. So then it goes ha 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 ho, and there really aren't good, you know, there aren't good translations for this ha 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 ho. It says here it can allude to the four measurables, four empowerments, four joys, four kayas, and you go, what joy? But there are others that say it's folly to even try and, you know, say what these things mean because nobody knows. But it's ha 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 ho, and it sounds like it's kind of fun. Sounds good. Anyway, it sounds like laughing, you know. Joy.
Might be just stimulating a ha 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 ho.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
What you call
Then it goes Bhagavan and all the Tathagatas and Vajrasattva. So these are the Buddhas, the ones gone beyond. This diamond-like being, this, you know, Vajrasattva comes out of Vajradhara, the primordial Buddha. So it's saying, don't abandon me, make me indivisible from you. Great Vajrasattva, the pledge keeper, that vow to help sentient beings, you know, until they make it. And then you just go ahung pe, which is, you know, again, this talking about non-duality, the essence seed syllable, and intensifying the positive energy and uniting in a state of non-duality or purity, you could say. And so we've come back to this whole non-duality idea. And I think Lama Yeshe has one of the most powerful things to say about that. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, I think. But he's saying the totality of everything is interdependent. Everything dependently arises from each other thing. So we are interdependently connected to everything. If you follow this out to its logical conclusion, there is nothing that we are not connected to, because everything's connected to something else, connected to something else. So the totality of the Buddha is the same totality that we are. Our process is to uncover all of the layers that are obscuring that, and just to realize that, have a realization of that.
It's sort of like Robbie made a banana bread. And in that banana bread, the totality is the banana bread. The flour is part of the totality. The eggs are part of the totality. The bananas are part of the salt, the baking powder.
You can see how that connects to everything in the universe.
Yeah.
Right, because the salt.
So that's
Everything.
So I'm really happy you made a banana bread, Robbie.
But there's not a thing that's not like that.
Right.
I know,
because-
but then it doesn't stop with
right.
the banana bread itself is part
So
of
this is sort of a kind of a little way into understanding what they're talking about when they say non-duality.
Right.
Because when we say duality, it's like, I'm here separate, this is separate, that's separate, you're separate, everything's separate. And it's not. It's not at all.
Right.
So when you think duality, it's talking separation. Right. When you think non-duality, it's talking
Together.
connected, interdependent, interconnected. That's the way things exist. So that's
what got me thinking about this, you know, thinking of our existence within a mandala. You know, where it's like a cell, you know, we're involved in a dynamic interchange of.
And even when you were saying everything is all light and energy, everything's light energy. Well, that even within our cells, that's the truth. Because when you get down, every single cell has these biophotons in it, which are simply it's just a name they've given to something that cannot truly be explained. And biophotons go out to the far reaches of the universe, as far as scientists can tell now. So everything it's you go down to this. I don't know what you'd even call it, non-particulate level, and it's light. It's the rainbow light that they're talking, that the you know, these great yogis have been telling us about.
Right.
It's everywhere. So, in a sense, when they're talking about everything is light energy, it's true, actually, but
Everything
it
is.
doesn't seem that way to us at all. Okay, going on. So that's a very powerful mantra for purification and connecting. Then there's a short mantra of that 100-syllable one, Vajrasattva. If you need a quickie, it's Om Benza Sato Hum Pe. Then there's the Vajradhara, which is the primordial Buddha mantra. Om Vajradhara Hum Hum Pe. So it's not fat.
Right.
It's pronounced Pe. Don't ask me. Om Vajradhara Hum Hum Pe. Then
and above PED is also pay.
Pe. It's the same
It's
thing.
the same thing.
It's the same thing, right?
It
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Yeah. So you just have to take that in stride.
Literally.
Then here's Samaya Vajra. So Samaya, again, these are commitments or pledges. So we have made, when you go the Buddhist path, you make certain kinds of commitments and pledges. And of course, everybody breaks them. Lama Pasang said this. He said, everybody breaks them. Everybody breaks them. There's no way we're going to start out and be like this perfect,
Right.
wonderful being. No way, unless we came in already
That
trying
way,
to
yeah.
do it, right? So these healing these or I don't know what, restoring your commitments is an important thing psychologically for us to do.
It is. I'll share this about the pronunciation. I said it to Geshe Nima over the phone, and he didn't know what I was saying. And so the way he pronounces it is Oma Prajekta. He says there's a debate between is it Tajekata or Prajekata. I'll just say it how he said it. He says it Oma Tajekata Hum.
So if you look at this, Oma Prajatak,
Prajataka is like
Prajataka,
Oma.
so you could go Oma Prajataka,
Anyways, you can WeChat with him personally.
Or
Yeah.
you could just go Oma Prajataka Hum.
Because I
Oma
went
Prajataka Hum.
project home and he went, I don't know what mantra do you what mantra is that? I'm not familiar with that mantra.
Oma Prajataka Hum. Yeah, it's very.
I remember singing something, and Venerable Robina was like, what are you singing? That is so
Yeah, she
wrong."
didn't like our mantra.
She didn't like the tune.
Yeah,
She didn't like the tune.
That's what we were taught.
Okay, so then about this mantra,
Yes.
at this point, if you do the series of mantras as Geshe Nima advised or recommended, this would be the last one, and you say a mala of them. And the way I think about it is in the context of why would I want to sort of do some repair of breaking my pledges? And I shared this with y'all. So I look at the Gelugpa merit field picture there up on the bookcase, and I liken it to the Starship Enterprise, and we are all, officers or enlisted in the team, whatever our level of participation is on the Starship Enterprise.
Cleaning the fence.
And so, we recognize that this is not this thing that we all envision accomplishing, going where no man is not before and all that. But we're here to, heal the universe, just like Captain Kirk and them. So, and you've seen how many episodes did you see how important it was that their mutual trust and their responsibility to each other and adherence to the norms of the Starship Enterprise. And so I think, okay, there's these recommended things that this group that I want to be part of adopted. And I want to continue to be part of this group. So I'm going to say this mantra, thinking about all my fellow Starship Enterprise officers and enlisted folk.
Is there a way to set this up with the text of each one of these and then have the symbol of what we're supposed to be imaging in our mind?
Sure, you mean like
Yeah, well,
A particular
if the Shakyamuni
deity or-
Buddha,
Oh, yeah.
if
With
it's
all
a
the
letter,
Shri
it's a
Buddha
symbol, Medicine Buddha, the same thing, what we're supposed to be visualizing.
What it would look like if a
Underneath.
stack of medicine Buddhas on top of your head. A
Yeah, I
stack
know.
of Avalokiteshvara. I mean, I'm just saying, if you were to,
What's that all about?
She's eating her treat and I think she swallowed it too soon.
Oh,
It's hurting her throat going down
oh.
and she's a big
Well,
crier.
I just-
yeah,
Yeah, you can,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
tell
there is.
tell us what you're
It's a hung
looking
or,
for.
whatever, but underneath the mantra, so we know what we're supposed to be visualizing at the time, when we're saying them. Would be-
Mhm.
And also
the
maybe
de-
a
it's
phonetic spelling of.
It's always the
Bodhisattva.
deity. It'll be
Yeah,
the,
it's water.
yeah, anyway.
Okay,
But I mean, how we would
Did you get it
pronounce
down?
it.
Past the pain point? Okay.
well, okay,
What I'm saying.
yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Right, to have the visualization.
That would be a good
going
project
along
for you,
with it.
Don. Assemble that. Why don't you
Well,
work on that?
Okay, it'd be,
No, I'm serious.
And then you can learn as you do.
well, I've been trying, because I have to get on my laptop and I'm like.
Well, there you go, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well, if it's everything's handed to you on a platter,
Then you can share it with us.
Okay, so the last two are dedication prayers, which many of us are familiar with. We say Jangchuk Samchok Rinpoche at the end of every class, so we don't have to go over that one. The Lama Tsongkhapa prayer, many are familiar with. Me metse wete chen chen rezi drime kempe. Yeah. Drime kempe wangpo jampaliang dupung malu jomze sanweda ganchen kepe tsugin Tsongkhapa losan rakpe jabla solowade. You are Avalokiteshvara or Chenrezig, they're the same. Great treasure of compassion, not aimed at true existence, meaning inherent existence. And Manjushri, the master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, the destroyer of hordes of demons without exception. O Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages of the land of snows. Losan Drakpa, I make requests at your feet.
This is basically begging Captain Kirk to let you stay on.
So what you have, I mean, some of you may recall the setup of the refuge visualization, and you have Buddha Shakyamuni in the middle. Then to Buddha Shakyamuni's right, you have Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara. Then to Buddha Shakyamuni's left, you have Manjushri. Then behind Buddha Shakyamuni, you have Vajradhara that has Vajrapani in there, and Vajrasattva, all the Vajras are in there. And then in the front, you have the teachers, which are represented by the lineage, represented by Tsongkhapa. This is what this is describing right here. It's describing this. It's starting out with Chenrezig, that because you're assuming the assumption is the Buddha's there. So you have Chenrezig, you have Manjushri, you have Vajrapani, you have Tsongkhapa, and then Losangrapa you can think because Tsongkhapa achieved enlightenment in his final act was he achieved enlightenment. So that is Tsongkhapa as the Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that whole thing there. And you can visualize that, and you can even visualize that around you as you're saying this at the end. And it's like what you were asking about, Don. And it takes investigation, thinking. But this is over the years. This is what has sort of presented itself to me, and go, oh wow, this is what this is saying here.
Mm-hmm.
Then it all starts to make sense, and you can. It really is. It's a great practice. I think we have to get over the idea that there's some kind of woo-woo magic here. It's all about our consciousness, our psychology, how we're thinking. The logic behind Buddhism, the logic of emptiness is that everything is interdependent, and we can logically work that one out.
Mm-hmm.
We can. And the more we do that, the more we're actually connecting with what the Buddha was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And on levels that we're not yet aware of, these energetic kinds of levels. But this is where the mantras, I think, really help. I mean, the energy really does begin to move through you. You move through your whole system as you psychologically put this all together when you're saying these mantras. Okay, so now we're going to go into his. This is the session where he actually gave the Bodhisattva vows.
Shushma.
Somebody stop the share then?
Yeah, stop the share. Thank you. So he said, today, this class is the final class for us. Buddha Shakyamuni said, you are your own master. No one can be your master or your protector. Whatever you do, that was the quote. So then this is Geshe Nima. Whatever you do that is good or positive, you are the witness of your own action. So in our day-to-day life, sometimes when we're around other people, we try to be compassionate and try to be kind. And then when there's no one around us, we do bad or negative things, like when nobody's looking. This is not the right way of thinking and doing because of the nature of karma and the nature of reality. Again, nature of reality is everything is interdependent. So to think that you can sort of get away with something if nobody sees is you're fooling yourself.
Because you see it.
Yeah, you see it. And really, each one of us has is our experience. We don't have anybody else's experience.
Right.
We
Yeah.
don't have anybody else's experience. We only have our experience, but we are interconnected.
Well, it comes down to the ethicalness
Yeah.
of things, because someone had asked me, they had borrowed money, they knew they owed this person some money, and they asked me, what do I do? I went to go pay this money back, and the person's like, I don't, an older person and has no recollection of this person B, shall we say,
Mhm.
owing them money.
Mhm.
She goes, what do I do? And I go, well, you owe the money.
Right.
So instead of confusing them, paying them the rest you owe on a monthly basis, set aside the money monthly, get the totality of what you owe them, and give them all of it.
Mhm.
So you don't confuse them.
Right.
You know what you owe.
And we do this for our own
So
consciousness.
that's,
Right.
we know what we've done.
Right.
We know what actions we've taken. We know what we have said. We are our own witness and have to hold ourselves accountable.
And we're the ones who are going to experience the effects, the
outcome
karma.
of our behavior.
actions, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's a pretty, it's important to remember this thing that he said here.
Yeah.
According to the perspective of karma, there is no exception, whether we do an action in front of other people or alone by ourselves. That means whatever we do, good or bad, one's self is the witness of that action.
Mhm.
So thinking in this way, we always try to be good, and we try to be a kind person, a compassionate person, and an other-centered person. We train in this way, and then in our day-to-day life, we can improve our mental quality, our physical quality, and our verbal quality. That means we improve our way of thinking, our way of behaving, and our way of speaking. So it all matters. When we train in this kind of practice, then we can create happiness in our mind and in our life. Not only that, because of our actions, we create peace, happiness, and harmony in our society, country, and wherever we live. And we all know this. If we don't feed the flame, there may be people angry and upset and frustrated all around us, but if we don't add to that, but instead say words of support or encouragement, or be kind, be compassionate, be understanding, that can calm them down. They're the ones who are calming down, but we are helping, But so often what we do is we just get hooked right into it, feed it, and then it's just, there's, huge fire going on of negative emotions. We can see this quite clearly. Yeah. If we spend our life in this way, our life becomes meaningful and content, a good life. Otherwise, as human beings, we have intelligence and good brains, but if we always do things which cause problems for others, then there's no difference between us and animals. So we always think in this way and train, and then we carry this message in our day-to-day life. So I think it's the message of kindness, compassion, understanding, being supportive and encouraging where it's appropriate to be, and helping those who are going off in the wrong direction to not do that, but not do it in a, not beat them over the head with it, but just be a kind person and an understanding person, somebody to talk to. On top of that, for the past few classes, we've studied about the wisdom of emptiness and the unconditional love of bodhicitta based on great compassion and great love. We also talked a lot about other-centeredness and discussed the demerits of the self-centered attitude and selfishness. Keeping those teachings in mind, we always try to carry those messages in our day-to-day life when we encounter other people. When we're in our own home or place alone, sometimes there are many external causes which make us unhappy or upset or frustrated. I think, this is one of them. Just take a look at what's going on whatever.
On that world out there.
That world out there.
That shows up on our
Yeah.
phone.
Seemingly out there.
Seemingly out
Seemingly
there.
out there.
And I think what we need to recognize is, I have a responsibility for how I'm going to respond to this, my own consciousness. I do not have to think, this is really what's going on out there. Not really. This is a message somebody is giving me. This is somebody saying, this is what I think, or this is what I want you to think, And I think we need to be, sort of smart about it. When we feel frustrated or unhappy like that, at that moment, we remember the teachings we discussed in this group. We always should be reminded or inspired to be other-centered beings, to be kind, to be compassionate, forgiving, and patient. And there's huge logic in that, because self-centered is sort of the default mode of samsara. It's how samsara came about. Self-centeredness is I am separate. I am not interconnected with everything else, and everything else is separate from me. And if I need something, I'm going to have to take it from someone else in order to get it, because it's not all interconnected. So this is the mindset that the ego has, that we've been having since beginningless times in samsara. This is the mindset we have to completely turn around. And the logic of interdependence is other-centeredness. Other-centeredness. And not in a way that it's like, I'm going to be a doormat for everybody. Not in that way at all. Not that way at all. It's part of the whole thing. And, what we want to do is support that interdependence, encourage it, encourage the healthy interdependent interplay between us and everything else. So that's a good thing to remember. So he says, remember the teachings we discussed in this group. Always we should be reminded or inspired to be other-centered beings, to be kind, to be compassionate, forgiving, and patient. The main purpose of attending this teaching is to change a little bit, to change our mind, our speech, and our physical behavior. This is a request from my side for all of you to keep going in this kind of practice. So this was a direct request from one's guru.
Right.
So, I would suggest, we pay attention to this. In our world, we spend many, many years in external work, and many, many times we interact with other people. If we can continuously practice this kind of teaching or dharma, it certainly brings peace and harmony in our mind. I feel this method is the best method for us to keep going. Not only that, we can make other people more happy and peaceful and more harmonious within themselves. Whether this teaching or this kind of talk is valid or true or realistic or not, if we practice, we come to know by our own experience. So what he's saying is, don't just take it for granted that what the Buddha is saying is true. I think the Buddha said that. The Buddha said that. Don't take my word for it.
Yeah.
Test this out for yourself and see for yourself from your own experience if there is a change.
Mhm.
So this is my final request for all of you this time. And then he said, thank you. So now he's going into the actual process of taking the Bodhisattva vows. And I thought this would be very helpful, actually for all of us, for any of us who have not taken Bodhisattva vows. It gives us a chance to see, well, here's what the process is. And remember all along, what Lama Pasang said is, everyone breaks their vows. So don't feel bad, don't feel threatened by the idea of taking a vow.
And then, oh my God, if I break it.
Yeah, what if I break it? Everybody breaks them. The whole point is to sort of pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and then keep going.
Right.
Go back to it. And you can always renew the vows. You can, say some mantras.
But it's a good starting point. Like
Mhm.
yes, you're taking vows, but you're really taking them with yourself. Like, I am going to do this. You're
Yeah.
telling yourself, this is my plan.
Right.
This is what I'm vowing to do. Like you just said, if and when, this is more when.
When?
You go, okay, I'm human, made a mistake. I will now go forward, try to do better. I will do better. You reaffirm your vows.
And then you keep practicing.
But if you don't take the
Yeah.
vow,
If you don't have the determination,
you don't have that plan to do better.
and it's
Like
this
aimlessly
idea.
sailing without a rudder. Yeah.
This idea about vows is it's not like something enforced upon you.
Right.
A vow is more like, Rabina has a really good way of putting this. Say you wanted, you're a kid and you want to become a really great basketball player. In a sense, you go, this is what I want to do. I really want to do this. You wouldn't call that a vow, but you're
Right.
calling that from your heart. This is what you want. So this is the starting point for taking vows in Buddhism. From our heart, do we want to be happy? Do we want to help others to be happy? Do we want to see peace, in the environment that we're in, and happiness? Is that something we want? So that's where the vow is our own thing, our own heartfelt thing. So this little kid who wants to, become a great basketball player, Shaquille O'Neal or something. Well, of course, this little kid can't even get the ball in the basket at first, constantly making mistakes, constantly not living up to that vow, that heart thing that
Right.
I want to be this great thing. It requires the practice. And over time, as that little boy matures or the little girl matures, and they get better and they keep practicing and then they become this fantastic basketball player. And that's what we are doing in terms of the Dharma.
Right.
Over time, we can reach enlightenment if we just keep at it. But to feel like we broke our vow and then go, oh, well, it's done, it's over. No wannabe basketball player or wannabe great musician would ever say that. Nobody who really wanted to accomplish something would ever say that. They just go, oh, I made a mistake, I'll do better. Let me practice hard. Let me see where I made the mistake. This is the attitude we should have. People get scared by that VOW word.
Right. And it's just a label.
Yeah.
It's just a label.
So that's my little
Of our heart intention.
diatribe about that one. So now he goes into the process of taking the Bodhisattva vows. Now, as we usually do, we visualize a very big seat or golden throne. On that throne, we visualize or imagine Buddha Shakyamuni, golden in color. We've already seen the many features of Buddha Shakyamuni in statues and in pictures such as of the Tanga here. So just imagine or visualize Buddha Shakyamuni seated on that big throne. And then around him, Buddha Manjushri, Buddha Maitreya. Maitreya is a Buddha that currently, they say, is abiding in another, what they call a pure land. And the next cycle, we're going to go through cycles of time, and there will be another cycle of time on this planet where another Buddha, the circumstances will be right or ripe for another Buddha to be on this planet. Maitreya is the one that they say is going to be that one. So you're visualizing a future Buddha on this planet, which in the form of Maitreya. Then you visualize also the 17 Nalanda masters, and you all go, oh my God, what's that? So you see, if you see on this Tonga here, you see all these figures around the Buddha. Well, there are 17 of them. 4 of them are underneath the material that's all bunched up on the top.
All right. Can you
But there are
say-
17, and they're luminaries such as Nagarjuna, Shantideva, Atisha, Asanga. They're all in there, you know. So there are links in this study. I may put links, and there's a picture, and it gives the name, and there's what they look like, and who they are, and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to, you know, go into more detail about
Right.
visualizing this, but you can just sort of look at this and get the idea, and you can go, oh yeah, Nagarjuna, Shantideva, they're all there. So you visualize those and all the other great gurus or masters in your life. So you put, you put Geshe Nima, you put Geshe Lama Yeshe, you put Venerable Rabina Korten, you put His Holiness the Dalai Lama, you put all of them up there. And then with all the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas in the space around them, as much as you can imagine or visualize. So he's saying it's a big thing, a big thing you're imagining there in front of you. Imagine all these great masters, along with you and all other sentient beings, are facing toward Buddha Shakyamuni. Around you are your parents and those who you consider as loved ones. So you got everybody here.
Mhm.
Then think or make a determination to take refuge in all of those great masters, including Buddha Shakyamuni. Take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and all the highly realized Bodhisattvas and Buddhas in the 10 directions, which means everywhere, up, down, sideways, every direction you can think,
Right.
10 directions. Think that they are very pleased with us because we are engaged in generating bodhicitta and receiving bodhisattva vows. So remember, bodhicitta, citta means mind or heart, bodhi means awaken, like Buddha, awaken. So it's awakened heart and mind. We are wanting to awaken our heart and mind to the nature of reality, which will bring about a state of happiness and bliss. So they're very pleased that we're engaged in generating bodhicitta and receiving the bodhisattva vows. These kind of activities are not for oneself. This is for benefiting all sentient beings. So the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas appreciate this wonderful, compassionate deed of helping all other sentient beings. So part of what the Buddhist path means is when you're taking refuge so that you can experience happiness and bliss in your life, that happiness and bliss is going to come through an interdependent relationship with all that is. Because that's the nature of reality. It's not a self-centered happiness and bliss. It's other-centered, all. So that's the huge difference here in the Mahayana Buddhist path. First of all, in your mind, you think, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and all the highly realized Bodhisattvas and Buddhas in the 10 directions. And he said that 3 times. Then Geshe Nima recited the prayers of refuge and bodhicitta in Tibetan, which are Sangye, Chudang, Soki, Choknam, La. And he did that 3 times. He said, then after that, remember the 2 different lineages of how to generate bodhicitta. And just recall, I just put this in here, the 7-point cause and effect instruction. You recognize all sentient beings as having been one's mother. 2, recognizing the kindness of all other sentient beings. 3, repaying their kindness. 4, developing an affectionate love for them. 5, great compassion for them. And then 6, the extraordinary intention, which is this intention is I myself am going to become enlightened to help everyone. That's the extraordinary intention. And then you develop bodhicitta, this awakened heart and mind. Then the other instruction is the one on exchanging oneself and others. That was the 7-point cause and effect. Then there's the exchanging oneself and others. 1, equalizing oneself with others. And an easy way to think of this is we are all the same in that we all want to be happy. No one wants to suffer. And every sentient being has Buddha nature, has the potential to make that change. So we equalize oneself with others. 2, we think of the disadvantages of cherishing oneself. Look around. 3, the advantages of cherishing others. 4, the actual thought of exchanging oneself with others. And 5, the Tonglen meditation on giving and taking, which we have done a few times. And yeah, there's a sheet on that I put together. Then think, now I'm going to generate bodhicitta for benefiting all sentient beings. So then, from the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas that are there in the space in front of you, imagine lots of blessings in the form of light coming toward yourself. You feel fully determined to generate bodhicitta for the benefit of all sentient beings and to lead them all to Buddhahood as you think, I will generate bodhicitta for benefiting all sentient beings. In your mind, you develop a stable sense of resolve, and you take full responsibility for generating bodhicitta to benefit all sentient beings. Think in this way, and then think that the generation of bodhicitta is not enough or sufficient to attain Buddhahood. Now we must engage in the causes and conditions which bring us to the state of Buddhahood. For that, we should receive the Bodhisattva vows and observe the Bodhisattva precepts. According to the Bodhisattva precepts, there are 18 root transgressions and 46 secondary transgressions. These are actions of body, speech, and mind we will be making the effort to abandon once we have received the Bodhisattva vows. Instead, what we will be cultivating is the practice of the 6 paramitas, or the 6 perfections, and the 4 means of helping or gathering. So I'm just going to go over those quickly. The 6 paramitas, or transcendent perfections, or transcendent perfections. These 6 paramitas outline the path of training for a bodhisattva. This is a bodhisattva's path, which is bodhicitta in action. 6 perfections are bodhicitta in action. They are generosity, ethical discipline, patience, joyful effort, meditative concentration, and wisdom. Wisdom, as you get into the higher levels of the bodhisattva path, once you have had a direct experience of emptiness, that wisdom then breaks out into 4 others so that there are actually 10 paramitas. But we won't go into that right now. Now we go into the 4 means of gathering. This is 4 means of gathering disciples that are practiced by a bodhisattva. And they are: 1, pleasing others by giving them material things or whatever they need. So it's always based on their needs. 2, teaching Dharma to lead others to liberation. So the Dharma is going to, if somebody takes the Dharma on board, then they will liberate themselves through the Dharma. That's what the Dharma does. It liberates us from the suffering of cyclic existence. That's what we're being liberated from. The 3rd is helping others in their Dharma practice by giving them encouragement. And the 4th is showing others a good example by always practicing what we teach. Practice what you preach, right? That we always practice what we say we should be practicing. If after receiving the Bodhisattva vows, we engage in the practice of the 6 paramitas and the 4 means of gathering, this is the only path or way we achieve Buddhahood. So we generate some determination, courage, and aspiration to practice the Bodhisattva precepts. And we think, from now on, until I become a Buddha, I will try to practice this kind of path without fail. So then he addresses this whole thing of fail. Those of us who have received Bodhisattva vows before may wish to receive them again for the purpose of renewing our vows. Sometimes we break the precepts and the Bodhisattva vows. The way to renew these broken precepts and vows is to receive them again and again from a master or one's guru, or from Buddha and Bodhisattva statues or images. Sometimes a master or lama will give the Bodhisattva vows. People who have already received Bodhisattva vows may notice that they have made some mistake, created some downfall or transgression, which has caused them to break those vows. This is no problem. The way to renew our Bodhisattva vows is to attend a teaching or ceremony where the Bodhisattva vows are being given and receive them again. In this way, we renew the Bodhisattva vows which we have already received. I remember also when Geshe Drapa was teaching us about these Bodhisattva vows, you can do them on your own. You can just visualize, imagine that the Buddhas are there in front of you, the whole collection. So basically, I do this every day in the refuge visualization. I go through the whole Bodhisattva vow, and it's meaningful. It's meaningful, and it's again, it's like it habituates you to this, and to this being the direction of your life and what you're trying to do. So everything then sort of gets folded into the Dharma and the practice, and whatever you're doing, whoever you're with, it's part of the practice. Finally, we feel the full determination to generate bodhicitta, receive bodhisattva vows, and observe the bodhisattva precepts for benefiting all sentient beings and achieving Buddhahood. This is done in accordance with our own intention to become a Buddha. It's just like the kid who wants to be a basketball player or a great musician. It's your own intention. It's not being pushed on you. Just having the aspiration to become a Buddha is not sufficient, so we engage in the causes and conditions which lead us to Bodhihood, to Buddhahood. So now he goes into the actual generating bodhicitta and receiving the bodhisattva vows. Now we're going to generate bodhicitta and then receive the bodhisattva vows, and then, if there is time, observe the bodhisattva precepts, which will be discussed in detail, and we can do that later. Day and night, through our mind training, may we never lose the bodhisattva vows until we become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. So now, feel some determination in your mind, and then make a pledge to yourself. Now I'm going to generate bodhicitta, and on top of that, I'm going to receive the bodhisattva vows. I can observe all the precepts of the bodhisattva vows. I will try to practice aspirational bodhicitta and engagement bodhicitta. Aspirational is, you wish to, have bodhicitta, and engagement is you actually begin engaging in it. I will practice the 6 paramitas, or 6 perfections, for benefiting all sentient beings without interruption, never giving up. So then he said, now I will recite one stanza, and you repeat that. So I'll just recite these so he would recite one, and then we repeat one. The first line is, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and all the bodhisattvas and Buddhas in the 10 directions. Then the second, I purify my own negativities. I purify my own negativities. So we're the ones that are doing it.
Right.
Very, very important. 3, I rejoice in the virtuous practices which are created and accumulated by others. 4, I keep my full focus on attaining Buddhahood for achieving my own goal and achieving the goal of all mother sentient beings. 5, I generate bodhicitta. 6, after generating bodhicitta, I invite all sentient beings to benefit them through the practices of the 6 paramitas and the 4 means of gathering. And 7, for helping other sentient beings, may I become a Buddha. In this stanza, the first point talks about taking refuge. The second point is the purification of one's own negativity. The third point is rejoicing and appreciating others' good actions, good motivation, and good practices. If we can rejoice in others' good practices, this increases our own positivity. They always said this is the easiest way to accumulate merit, is to rejoice in others' good qualities. We do that so unoften. You know, we need to look for that, you know, and rejoice in that in everyone we encounter, every being we encounter. And that they say this is the easiest and the quickest way to accumulate positive potential. After that, the fourth point instructs us to keep our focus on Buddhahood. With the fifth point, we generate bodhicitta. With the sixth point, we make a pledge to practice the 6 paramitas and the 4 means of gathering. That means we wish to receive the Bodhisattva vows and observe all the precepts related to eliminating negativities. And then with the 7th point, we keep going with the practice of the 6 perfections and the 4 means of gathering until we reach Buddhahood. So after that, this is when he then recited those 3 the stanzas 3 times, and we repeated it 3 times. So we finished that, and then he said, so at this moment, the students who have come here to receive Bodhisattva vows for the first time should feel, now I have received the Bodhisattva vows. From now on, I will practice bodhicitta, compassion, and love. I will try to help others as much as I can and never harm others. Then he said, study a little bit about the Bodhisattva precepts. Maybe there are 2 or 3 pages the TBCWP can provide to you, and I have a link in this study guide with all the precepts. Then think, from now on, may I never lose bodhicitta, observe the precepts, and practice as much as I can until I attain Buddhahood for benefiting all sentient beings. The students who have already received Bodhisattva vows should think, now I have renewed my Bodhisattva vows. Before, due to some ignorance, I may have broken some rule of the Bodhisattva vows, but now those broken precepts have been renewed. So feel happy and joyful in your mind. From now on, I will never lose bodhicitta and never engage in actions or activities that degrade the power of my bodhisattva practice or bodhisattva vows or bodhicitta itself. And that was that. He said, thank you. Now, that's not all. That's only half of what that session was. There's another half, which is a whole teaching. So we'll do that next time. But I thought that would be good to go through that and understand that we're going to break them, where our habits are so strong. I mean, we've been self-centered, they say, since forever. And so that's a big ship to turn around. Yeah. So just I think, be easy on ourselves about it and have the determination to just keep going, just keep going, do it again. Take the vows yourself in your own meditations, renew them yourself in your meditation sessions, just keep going. That's my suggestion. And after a while, all this idea of guilt, it's sort of like, it's stupid. Yeah. It's stupid. It's not helpful. It's like feeling guilty because you're practicing basketball, feeling guilty because you're practicing the piano to be a great musician or the guitar, whatever it may be that you want to do. I mean, it's just like, that's stupid. You just make mistakes. Just, keep going.
Right.
Yeah. That's, so any discussion about that? Or questions about it? What I tried to do was to make it not seem so, oh my God, vows.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I'll never forget. There was maybe a couple of years now, Geshe Nima was talking about, labels and things like that, and how, we have developed symbols, the alphabet, to then put together to create words to again communicate. But we're the ones who applied sound and meaning to each letter, to each combination of letter. And what stuck with me was, isn't it funny how the same letters in different formats can invoke such an emotional response to some people, right? And so some people see the letters VOW and go, oh my God.
Yeah,
You're like, this is carved in stone. I can't break them, or
Right.
I'm gonna go to hell. Or I'm
right,
gonna go
right,
to
hell,
And so
right,
they're just letters
Mm.
that we have put on their meaning and definition, and we then ourselves can have grace with ourselves.
a wonderful
in this
thing
meaning and
that
definition.
Rabina says all the time is she says, you're the boss. You're the boss, nobody else.
Right,
It's your experience, it's your mind, it's your consciousness.
right,
You decide. These are guidelines
right.
from very great
This
minds.
isn't do or else.
Yeah.
It's if you want this, if you want to be a great
This is a way to
basketball
do-
player,
this
if you
is the
want
way
to
to
do
go.
this, whatever, then this is the path forward that's been put before us.
But always remember, you're the boss. You're the boss of
Right.
your own consciousness.
We said
your
the
own being.
pace. Yeah, we said all of it.
Yeah.
It seems like an important part is recognizing when you miss out and do something that's
Yeah.
contrary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sort of.
Yes.
And just
Yeah.
having grace with yourself
Yeah.
when you do.
Yeah, recognizing it. Because some of,
Like,
oh my
oops.
goodness, you look at some of these Bodhisattva precepts and the habits that we have ingrained are so strong. We're just gonna do it. And the thing would be to sort of, as we do it, sort of catch it and go,
Yeah.
probably I shouldn't do this.
Well, and that kind of brings me back to lessons and talks that we did with Lama Pasang years ago about the study of the mind.
Yeah.
And it's that catching it.
Mm.
Our thoughts are so boom, 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 boom. When we slow them down, we then recognize the space in between them.
Yeah.
Because some of our habits are so habitual, it's just fluid. Like we don't even see the space between A to B.
Right.
But there's tons of space there. But we have to slow our thoughts down to find those spaces to then catch ourselves going, oh, wait a minute.
It's like almost like a stream of
You know,
consciousness,
right.
there's a trigger of some sort, you're not really paying attention, and all of a sudden there's full-blown anger and,
It's like,
you're
whoa,
going
where
wild,
did
and
that
how did
come
that happen? Where did
Right.
that come from?
Right.
And we're not catching what the trigger is, what's
Right.
causing.
It's just happened so
Us to do that.
quickly. So it's
Uh.
slowing the mind down enough to then
Yeah,
feel like, oh, I think I'm triggered, and then stopping and then figuring it out from there. And
one of the most
That's
important
right.
things, I've learned in my Buddhist studies is to take all the magical thinking out of it, all the woo-woo, because it appears that way. All these beings of light and all this stuff, but if you actually think about, like I say, biophotons, at some level, why couldn't there be beings of light who
well,
have sort of arranged the light in some way and,
aren't some squid and some algae and things like that
Mhm.
bioluminescent?
Oh, yeah.
They're floating around.
why couldn't there be light? Yeah.
Growing.
So it's partially it's expanding our mind. It's expanding the limits of our thinking,
Right.
which is what science is. Science is expanding the limits of our thinking, of our understanding. So that's an interesting way to think about it. It's an interesting way to think about
I
it.
thought the science was that old.
That is science is never settled. My goodness, science is always
I
evolving.
think that was a weighted question.
Yeah, I know, but the fact that anybody says that is just like, how can you say that?
Just so you know, I happen to be reviewing some YouTube that will be this week on dependent origination. And in one of them, she said, well, let's do the opening prayers, Sanghi, prayer. And I'll tell you, she ripped through that sucker like
I
it
know.
was on fire. So
She's very
slow, never, I don't think it's in her vocabulary. So pass that on in case anybody's interested.
There's nothing about Venerable Robina that's slow.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Her speech, her actions, her movements, her thoughts. I mean,
She
she's
is
quick.
on fire, on
She's
mission.
incredibly bright.
Yeah. Well, to the science, it was kind of funny. We were out
Her ears
eating.
must be burning.
Yeah, we were out eating yesterday with some other friends of ours, and in catching up, Brian indicated that he and Claudia wrote the book on restoring trust in science,
Yeah.
and we couldn't help ourselves. All of us around the table, we just in the energy of the world we are living in, we all just broke out in laughter at
Well,
the concept of restoring trust. in
but
society.
it is what we should strive to do
But
that.
we should.
We should definitely
Just
strive
why
to
the
do that,
book was written
but
in the first place, but yeah.
the power in place is so ingrained, it's difficult.
Yeah,
It's
it
difficult.
is, it really, really.
Which is why we sort of like need to let go of this idea of, I gotta fix samsara.
Samsara is,
We don't have to fix samsara, we just have to revision what reality is.
right,
And help everybody liberate from this,
Right.
because this all arose, they say, out of self-centeredness.
right,
This is a self-centered realm, and
Right.
and it's so our task is to
Remove that.
turn that
Or
around.
turn it
Yeah,
around.
yeah, and then it would change.
Mhm.
Yeah, but since there are infinite beings,
All we can do is start with
Yeah.
this one,
yeah.
with fingers pointing at ourselves.
Okay, prayers.
So recalling, again, bringing up into your thoughts the greater mandala within which we and all of this exists. Our teachers, our companions here today, the teaching itself, the actions and all of the activities and phenomena that we're going to be witnessing in the world when we stand up and go on with our participation in the greater mandala. And that's the purpose of dedicating, is that we don't just leave it as a transitory set of nice thoughts, but that we carry our intention with us all the time. This is to the very final dedication.
Okay.
In all my lives, may I not be separated from true wrongs and enjoy the splendor of Dharma, fully perfecting the virtues of levels and paths. May I speedily attain the state of Ajudara. And then picture that greater mandala with all of the Dharma, the holy beings, the enlightened beings, the beings on their way to enlightenment, all just sort of condensing into a shivering golden drop of amazing existence, the amazement of existence and our awareness of existing, and letting that absorb into your heart as you practice and actualize these ideas we've been talking about.
Thank you.
Ha 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 ha, whoa.
Hey.
Just a little showgirl.
That Santa, he had something going on. Whoa.
Right, ha ha, ho ho ho.
What-
Who knew Santa was
Santa
a
when did he
Buddhist?
know it?
Yeah, right? Hey, I wouldn't doubt it, somehow, some way.
What did
I
Santa?
think I still believe in Santa.
Good, man.
Well, why not?
Possible,
I
right?
thought of.
Okay, all you beautiful people,
Someone was
we're
talking
gonna
about,
say
like,
goodbye. I'm gonna stop the recording.